Hi, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Flock Talk. I'm Robin Sullivan of the Leather Elves. I'm so excited that you guys are here tonight. So we've got a bunch of information that we've got to share with you before we get started. First is please follow us on Facebook if you don't already. Like us and follow us because then you'll get notification when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram. And we also have a YouTube channel that you can subscribe to. So all those are great ways to make sure that you get all the information from the Leather Elves. So Frank was sitting waiting. Frank, I'm glad you're here. And hey, Amanda, I'm glad you're back. So there's a lot going on. I will be doing some traveling. And first, I will be on Saturday, April 22nd at Kiko's Toy Chest out in Tacoma, Washington. I'm so excited to do this. We're going to do two seminars and a scavenger hunt and lunch, free lunch. Who says there's no such thing as a free lunch? So I will be there on the 22nd. And then on Sunday, April 23rd, I will be at the Parrot Perch in Vancouver, Washington. And we're going to do two seminars there. And they're going to have snacks and shopping and a scavenger hunt. So there's a lot going on. Lori, you can get there, Lori. You've got time. It's not till next weekend. I know how far you've traveled for conferences. The other thing that's going on is the Leather Elves is working with Ziggy's Haven Parrot Rescue and the Key Training Center. So I was lucky enough to meet this group of individuals for when I was down in Florida the last time. And I brought a bunch of toys with me and we made them. And I can't tell you how much fun we had. We laughed. These guys got toys done. If I could import them all to Maine, I would have them working with me up here. But they really enjoyed making the toys. So Ziggy's Haven is purchasing kits, and we're going to send kits down to these guys. Ziggy's is having a fundraiser right now, and it runs through, I believe, the 18th. And they are trying to raise some funds so that they can do this and keep these guys busy working and learning some work skills. There's a QR code there that you can click on that will take you right to their donation page. I want to thank some of you. I know some of you have already donated to this project, and I really, really appreciate it. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I, for many, many years, worked with folks who faced a lot of challenges, and it's the same science that we work with our birds and training and learning. And so this is really important to me. And also, any orders that are placed on the Leather Elves site through the Leather Elves site this week. Any orders for toys, 10% of those sales through the 18th will go, or actually, let's go for the whole week. Any orders placed by the 21st, from now until the 21st of April, 10% of those sales will go towards this project. You can see the smiles on these guys' faces. The gentleman in the middle with the pink shirt on, so he made that version of the coconut, and he worked at it the whole time I was there. I kept offering him other toys, and he just kept doing that. So he seemed to really get into it. So there's a lot going on, but if anybody wants to help with that, you can donate through the QR code right there, or purchase some toys from the Leather Elves, and 10% of your order will go towards this project. All right, so I'm tired already. So I've got a guest tonight that I'm really excited for you guys to meet. This young lady, I met this young lady at Ziggy's Haven in Florida. And I had a table and she came up to the table and we started talking. And I asked her a few questions, and her answers that she came back with were so, Aliana, I was so impressed. Um, I've asked the same question of a lot of adults, and I've never gotten the kind of answers that I got from you. So I said, or you need to be on the live stream, right? And, I mean, that's kind of how the conversation
Yep,
went. Um, but it is my great pleasure to introduce all of you to Aliana Torres. How's it going?
it's good.
And we didn't even plan the blue shirt thing. That's good. Good job. So, but Aliana is how old are you? I know you're not supposed to
I'm
ask a
11
lady
years
her age.
old.
She's 11. All right. 11 years old. And the like I said, the answers, and people are saying hey over there in the comments. Lori's a
Hi.
regular listener. Hi. Um, but so that's fifth grade, you said, right? You're in the fifth grade.
Yep.
So when we met, um, you told me you had a bird. You told me you had a budgie. How
Yep.
many birds do you have?
I have four birds.
What kind?
I have two conures, one yellow-sided green-cheeked conure and one cinnamon, and then I have two budgies.
All right. I remember having a budgie. Well, I didn't. My grandmother had a budgie when I was your age or younger, and his name was Sleepy, and he was blue, and he was in the dining room. I don't know why he ended up in the dining room. And back in those days, when a long, long time ago, um, people had them in round cages, and we all know that's not great
Oh,
anymore. And yeah, it was all the stuff that you're not supposed to do. That's what happened with Sleepy, but he did okay, but we've learned so much. So
yep.
one of the questions I asked Aliana was, how did you decide to get a budgie? Now, do you remember what you said to me?
It was pretty much how I went to Georgia and I went to a zoo camp and there was like an aviary of budgies and I went in there and then they just started flying to me with treats and stuff. And then I did tons of research at my grandma's house about budgies and then I decided to get one of my own.
So, okay, that's the answer right there that made me go, I have to talk to her more. She did research. And I asked Aliana, I got to tell you, and I know that a lot of people who are listening will agree. I'll ask adults, well, they're supposedly adults. One never knows.
Yep.
But I'll ask them and say, so how'd you decide to get your bird? Oh, I thought they were really cool and they could talk. Okay, no, that's not it. That's not the answer.
Oh no.
So, when you talk about you did research, what did you do? What did that look like?
So I looked up the right cages, the right diets, the right toys, and what's good and what's not good for parrots. And then I've just like done like the right like make sure it's not too cold or not too warm for the budgie, and just did lots of things that'll make the budgie thrive.
So, did you find out about like what? So, you found out how to take care of them at home, but did you
Mhm.
look up anything about what they did like when they're in the wild?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you find out about budgies in the wild? Do you remember?
So some of the stuff. So like they how they forage in the wild and find their own food, and how they don't just get free seeds like that and stuff like that. They have to work for their food.
Nice. See, and so did you carry that over to how you take care of your budgie? What's your budgie's
Yep.
name? So we don't have to call him your budgie.
So I have one named Pickles, and that was my first one. And then I have another one named Coco.
Okay. So when you take care of Pickles and Coco, do
Hmm.
do you try to apply what you learned about what they're like in the wild?
Yeah, I try to apply how like they need to work for their food instead of just getting free like pellets, chopped seeds, and stuff like that, and how they need to do foraging. So I put lots of foraging toys in there, and they really like them, and they just go all at them.
Nice. And so I'm gonna teach you a word. You probably already know it. It's called contra freeloading. Have you ever heard that word before?
No, I haven't.
You know what it is because 'cause you've said it like 3 times. It's that they prefer to work for their food. So, scientists have done studies where they get, free food versus foraging or, working for it. And the studies showed that birds and all animals actually prefer to work for their food. I mean, do you
Yeah,
find that they kinda you said they go at it when you put foraging stuff in.
yeah,
So, are they, like, super excited versus, "I put a
yeah,
bowl in?" Yeah.
yeah. When
Um,
I put foraging stuff in my birds' cages, that's the first thing they'll go to instead of just sitting on the perch. They'll go at it. And I also recommend dog slow feeders, since you can put crinkle paper and lots of different types of toy parts, and then some seeds, and then my budgies go all at it.
Nice. So you use dog products for your birds.
Yeah.
This is it's genius. I mean, these are things you're like my mini me. I mean, these are things that I've been telling people for years and years, and you're just doing them. I think it's wonderful. So slow feeders, describe that for people who don't know what that looks like.
So in dog type, a slow feeder is a type of bowl that has all these cool designs to help your dog to slow down its feeding. And it prevents bloat in your dog, and it's just super, super good. And it's amazing in birds too.
Nice. So it's just they've gotta work through, different places and stuff, and you can put crinkle paper in and then put the pellets in. It's a great
Yep.
idea. I love it. And definitely people should consider going to other parts of the pet store. If you go to a full service pet store, go look around the other and think of things you can do. Be inspired by Aliana and the different things that you can do when you go to the pet store next time. So I just need to back up. So before you got Pickles, was there
Mhm.
were there criteria? Was there something that did you have like a list of things that you wanted um, in order for that to be the right bird for you?
Yes, I look for personality, like different types of traits and stuff. But really, like, you can get a bird and work on it and stuff like that. So it all depends on the bird and how it likes you and stuff. And yeah.
Cool. So if somebody out there who's listening really wants a bird, they just know
Mhm.
they want a bird. They don't know what they want. So what advice would you give someone like that?
So I would give them that birds are a lot of work and they take up a lot of time and money. So you have to provide what they need. So if you're going to get a bird, get everything that they need, and just make sure everything's right for them, and that make sure you're getting them for the right places and not just those stingy breeder stores that take horrible care.
There you go. So you wanna make sure that it's a good pet store, a reputable pet store that you when you go, if it's not just an avian specialty store, that it's a reputable pet store. And I think that's really important, and next week, I'm gonna be at a pet store, and we're gonna talk about what to look at in a good pet store. So that's cool that you suggested that. So your research that you did you just look online? What were the best sources that you found? Because sometimes the stuff online isn't always trustworthy.
So I go to the good parrot sites that I know online, like Instagram and Facebook, that I know that are good. So I go to sites like that, like Parrot University and stuff like that, and I just get some information from there, take down notes, seeing what could happen and what can't happen, and just stuff like
So Parrot University in North Carolina, is that the one
that.
you're
Yes.
talking? I have been there and I know the folks that run that, and it's a wonderful, wonderful resource for people. So that's great. I'm glad you got some advice there. Um, all right. So let's take a day in the life of Aliana and Pickles and Charlie and Coco and what's the other one?
Twinkie.
Twinkie. Okay. So a day in the life of you and your birds. What
Mhm.
does that look like?
So in the morning, I feed them chop. I make sure it has at least 20 plus ingredients. It doesn't always have to be, but make sure it's a good variety and very healthy, and not things like romaine lettuce, because that really is just filled with just water and really doesn't give your bird the nutrients that it needs. So I recommend like sugar snap peas, a little bit of carrots, broccoli, and just stuff like that. You can look up on bird sites good chop recipes and make sure that they're good. And then I also add sprouts and herbs and grains into my chop since it's just much better. And then and they can also work for chop, so that's also good. And I put that in their bowls, and then at nighttime they get pellets. So it just depends on the day, really, but make sure that you have a schedule. So I also recommend Bird Tricks and Tops. So Bird Tricks is an all organic site, and you can buy toys from there, purchase from there, and seasonal feeding system chops freeze dried from there. And I actually bought some. It's coming in tomorrow. So yeah, that's a really good site. And then Tops has seed mixes and pellets, and I really recommend that one too.
All right, very cool. I don't know if you're familiar, Aliana, with Dr. Jason Crean. He has an avian raw nutrition page.
Oh yes. Mhm.
Okay, so Jason's got some really cool stuff. He's down in Florida too. Maybe we can like
Yes.
get you guys to meet because he has some really cool birds in his aviary. So that might be something to figure out. Okay, so that's what you feed them. So do you have like somebody who comes in and cleans the cages for you?
Oh no, I do it myself.
So, how do you fit all this in? You go to school, right?
Yeah,
When do you find the time?
I can find them on Fridays or after school. I usually do like spot cleans and stuff like that. Make sure the poop just doesn't all build up in one spot, and that I just really take it out usually on Saturdays and pressure wash it or hose it down the whole cage and take everything out and then put new toys in, like use old toy parts and put it on new things and just give them more enrichment.
All right. So you do the cleaning and the enriching and you change things out. That's a good system, it sounds like. Um, so if somebody asked you to define what a good bird owner is, what does that mean to you?
A good bird owner, what means to me is spending lots of time with your bird, giving them lots of enriching stuff, actually spending money on them instead of just keeping them in one little cage and not giving them really any types of enrichment, and just have good setups and just clean on a daily basis.
There you go. So, do you have a job?
No.
No. How do you afford having a bird? My goodness.
Well, I usually do chores around the house and just earn money by that. And I'm actually saving up an aviary for my budgies, so yeah, close to that.
Nice. So, how are you doing with that, saving for that aviary?
It's going pretty well. It's the aviary is 400 and I have 130 at the moment. I usually save 700 in a year from birthday, Christmas, and stuff like that. So I'm getting there.
All right, very cool. We have I noticed Sarah Brabs is on here and she says what a fun guest today. Sarah is an amazing breeder.
Oh
And
yeah.
she has some really cool young avicultural friends. Sarah's somebody that you may at some point in your life want to be like. So I'm glad Sarah's listening tonight. Um, there's a lot of people on here, Aliana, who are listening um, very who are very connected. In fact, we just Shelly just email or just commented, if you reach out to her and let her know where you live, she might be able to
Mhm.
get you a discount on an aviary.
Oh
So
wow, that's awesome.
so I will get you that. I'll get you Shelly's information afterwards. Shelly's an amazing lady. She has the Cockatoo Ranch, and she does a lot of rescue work
Wow.
with cockatoos. She's
But yeah.
way braver than me, I'll tell you. Um, let's talk about enrichment because you know that's my thing. So how do you decide? Like, okay, today's Friday. How do you decide what are they going to have for enrichment today? What is? How do you figure that
Well,
out?
birds always don't need high top things like $20 foraging toys or stuff like that. You can simply just go to the Dollar Tree, get some supplies like popsicle sticks or finger traps and or bird safe stuff. And even if you want to go to a dog store and get a slow feeder, or go to your local bird store, get a small little foraging toy, and just add crinkle paper from the Dollar Tree, and just your crinkle paper and your finger traps and your popsicle sticks, and just put it in there and some seeds. And that's really what some simple stuff that you can do, and your bird will be very enriched.
So during the day, you go to school.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
are there people with the birds during the day?
No, I give them lots of enriching stuff during the day. So I refill all their foraging things in the morning. I try to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning just to do that stuff. So, and then I go to school at 8. So try to do as much as I possibly can.
I love your dedication. I love that you make that effort to make these birds' lives better, by doing that. That's really you should be so proud of yourself, and when your mom listens to this, she should be proud of you too. I could tell she kinda was when I met you guys.
Yeah.
So do you have any kinda schedule? So that's when you do it, but do you have a schedule that, for enrichment at all?
Well, I try to do it as much as possible when I do have the time. As long as my birds have something that they actually like in their cage and that they actually pick at, and then I usually go from there and then really just try to refill everything. And then when I come back from school, it's all destroyed and stuff. And then I usually just clean all that stuff up and make sure I spot.
Nice. So, what happens if you go and you buy that, $20 toy and you put it
Mhm.
in the cage and they don't like it? They're not interacting with it. What do you do then?
Well, you could reuse parts to make something better, but if you can't do that, really, you want to try before you get the toy knowing what your bird likes. Because if you're going to spend a $20 expensive toy on your bird and they don't like it, well, that's kind of like your fault and what you did. But it's really you just try to watch out for what your bird likes and try to prevent
Sorry about that. It looks like we've lost Robin here momentarily, and hopefully she'll be right back.
that. Mhm.
Do you want to tell us about this bird here that you have?
Okay, so that is Charlie. He is my yellow-sided green-cheeked conure, and I got him last year in July, and I got him from a responsible breeder, and I'm hoping he can free fly, but we'll see where that goes. And he is such an amazing bird. He has, conures can be nippy sometimes depending on the bird. So, yeah, he definitely can be nippy. That's pretty much just conures for you. But yeah, he's an amazing bird, and I really
Very nice. And who did we have here? Looks like a blue and gold macaw that you have.
So I went to a Florida exotic bird sanctuary in Hudson, Florida, and I went in their big macaw aviary and I fed them some treats. It looks like walnuts right there, and I just fed them treats. They flew to me and stuff. It was amazing experience.
Very nice. And is this other picture that we have here, is that the same bird or?
No, it is a different bird that I met at Ziggy's Haven from a really nice dude, and he let me hold his bird. And as you can see, the bird has a little bit of beak deformity, but the bird is so sweet and doesn't really try latching at you.
Okay. What do you like volunteering at Ziggy's? What do you like doing there?
I'm back.
I really like just helping with them, cleaning their cages, really just learning a lot about the birds and stuff like that.
Very nice.
So, so Aliana, I'm sorry that I deserted you like that. It was like frozen all
You're
of a
good.
sudden. I was like, oh, this is bad. Um, all right. So I'm assuming you and Nick continued chatting. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So how far did we get? What did we talk about?
I went a little off script and we talked a little bit about Ziggy's and we went through the photos that she supplied with us.
Okay, good. That works. So when we were talking about the schedule, Aliana, and by
Mhm.
the way, you handled that like a pro. Um, I um, I suggest to people that they do a calendar so they're not um, offering offering the same thing all the time. So do you have like, is there one toy that you know that your birds just that's their favorite thing of all time?
Yeah. Well, Charlie's favorite toy is a finger trap type of Sola wood since he really likes picking at Sola. Sola is pretty expensive to get, so you can just really get some cheap stuff like finger traps and just use that. And my budgie's favorite toy are is corn husks. They really like picking at it and shredding it. And then Twinkie's favorite toy is probably just like anything that wood. She loves to shred. She's yeah, just a shredder.
Okay. So what kind the solo wood, what do they like the balls or the pieces? What do they like? What kind?
They like the pieces at most, but I could get the little log ones. They also like that, but they prefer the non-skin ones, so it's a little bit easier for them. But my birds also like balsa.
Have you tried mahogany pods with them?
Yes,
Do
they
they
also really like mahogany pods. Yes.
cool. I love mahogany pods because I like it's they got to work at it a little bit, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of texture than I think a lot of our birds
Oh yeah,
get, in our homes. So,
yeah.
yeah, and there's so I have so all right. Let me ask you another question first. What's your favorite kind of enrichment? What makes you happiest to see them interacting with?
Probably like toys that they like pushing out. Like I use paper coin wrappers and I stuff it with crinkle paper and they love just pulling it out. I stuff treats in the middle and they also really like cupcake wrappers and I put like for example a Nutriberry in the middle and I roll it up to make it like a little candy and then my conure Charlie loves them.
Nice. And again, it's something that you can do. It's not difficult. And I mean,
Mhm.
anybody out there could do it if they were creative like you are. So that's very cool to hear. So, um, if so what do you have like a way to figure out if enrichment is effective or not? So I'm really all about goal-based enrichment. That you have to have like what do you expect your bird to get out of that opportunity? And so how can you tell if it's effective or not?
Well, enrichment is also a big part of exercise, so your bird has to work for it and get it and stuff like that. So it's enrichment's a big part in my bird's life. So I really find it effective because they are just getting so much from it, and instead of just having to get seeds just regularly, and how they get lots of exercise.
Nice, very nice. So we've got Nick is I told you before, Aliana, Nick is like Mr.
Mhm.
Wonderful Graphics here. So here we've got the wheel of enrichment. It's like being on Wheel of Fortune, only way more fun. Um,
Yeah.
so we're gonna spin the wheel. If you're willing to
Mhm.
play this game, whatever it
Yep.
comes up on, we'll discuss what that type of enrichment is, and then we'll see what you would do for your guys. All right.
Okay.
So auditory is what we came up with first. auditory is what you can hear, right? It's your audio, auditory. So if you were going to provide some auditory enrichment for your guys, what would you do?
So I do jingly toys, but I try not to go on the bell side. But even if it's like good, like beads, like that your bird can't swallow or chew off, or stuff like that, it's just my birds really enjoy. And why I don't recommend bells is because bells can get rusty and your bird can digest some of the parts, so I really don't.
Nice. Good, really good advice. We have a toy. It's called a bubbly birch forager, and it's made out of the pods, and it makes
Mhm.
this really. I love making them when we get orders for those because it makes a
Yeah,
really cool noise, and I feel like the birds probably like that noise in addition to being able to
yes.
forage for stuff. So if you can put different categories together, it's like a big win. All right, Nick, are we
Oh
ready
yeah.
to spin again? Good answer, Aliana. All right. Big enrichment. Not gonna work. All right. Olfactory. So olfactory is scent enrichment. So I'm sure you have some cautionary words about scent as well. What do you think, Aliana? What
Yeah.
could we do for olfactory?
I recommend herbs since it does have a type of scent and it's pretty much just dry flowers and a whole type of blend mix. And my birds pick at it all the time, so I give them to it daily since it also is a great part of enrichment. So I give
Mhm.
my birds about four different types of herbs in their meals, and they just really just go all at it, and that's everything is eaten and not left behind in the bowl.
Nice. The when you talk about herbs, one of the things I like to we've talked about before on the live stream that I like to do is scent trails. So
Mhm.
you take an herb and bring it along a perch or along the bars and see if they'll follow along that scent trail. And sometimes you can get them to use more of their cage than they normally would using a scent
Yep.
trail. And then Shelly suggested that stainless steel bells are awesome. She's got the big cockatoos and the stainless steel bells
Mhm.
hold up to them. And Megan suggested pipe bells. That way they can't get up inside and get the clapper piece off
Yep.
because that's a big concern. All right, what else have we let's spin that wheel, Nick, please. Nick's like Vanna.
Mhm.
Oh, he's gonna kill me later. Oh, we're not doing olfactory again. We're gonna try again. I saw a guy the other night on Wheel of Fortune that kept getting bankrupt. It's the same thing. I don't know. It feels like the wheel's heavy on that side, Nick. Can we try this again?
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna make Aliana be really creative over and over and over again in the same place.
You can see our wheel is not rigged.
No. Oh, social. So clearly, you are wonderfully social, Aliana, and I think the audience loves how wise and social you are. Um, what about your birds? What do we think about social for them? Social enrichment.
So my Conure Twinkie actually loves my budgies. Charlie's a little bit more on the aggressive side, so I try to make them like put them each other, and of course, if they fight, that's just a one-time thing. That doesn't mean you have to just stop doing it, and they do need to set boundaries, so that's how they are gonna do it. But my budgie Coco loves preening my Conure Twinkie. So cute.
There you go. So you allow them. Are they always supervised when they interact like that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's really important. But I think it's great that you're allowing them to kind of, set those boundaries, make those friendships, if you will, or connections. And but it's definitely important that they are supervised when that happens. So, all right, Nick, we got social down. Let's see if we can get something different. Spin the wheel. Dietary. So I'll give you a hint on this one, Aliana. So you do amazing chop and stuff like that. We've talked about that.
Mhm.
And Ray here says, have you tried flowers? And then talks about Jason Crean, suggests just hanging them in the cage for them to chew on. But for me, dietary is more about how you present the diet versus
Mhm.
what's in the diet. All right. So what are you going to do
Yeah.
for dietary enrichment?
So usually I put two types of pellets. You could put tops, you could put bird chicks, or you could put Harrison's because that's also organic. And I usually put some pellets in, and then I put herbs and grains and seeds. And then usually I could put some toppers like some calcium, since that's really good for birds, and probably just some dry fruit, since that's also good, and maybe some dried peppers. And then I also really like blueberry old fashioned oats, since my birds love them, and then that's
Hmm.
also good.
All right. So from a dietary standpoint, dietary comes up on the wheel and it's like, what are we going to do different food wise? But what are some of the different, is it always in the bowl for them? Or I mean, you talked a lot about foraging. So how are you presenting food in different ways?
So you could put like a piece of paper on top and tie it, and then they have to pick at it and get all the paper off to eat their meal. Or you can put it in foraging toys, put their food in foraging toys and make them work for it. That's also a good way.
All right. So Shelly says, FYI, Tops and Bird Tricks food is the same thing made at the same factory.
Correct.
Interesting information. Thank you, Shelly. Um, excuse me. All right. So lots of different ways to offer it. You can hide it. The other thing I tell people, Aliana, is you can move the bowl. It's not just because there's a space for it to go in, you can still move it and the birds aren't going to starve to death. I promise. All right, Nick, are we ready to spin that wheel again? Got a couple more categories on here. Visual. All right, Aliana, she's shaking her head. She's ready to go. She's got that visual suggestion. What's it going to be?
So really, birds see lots of different stuff, and when your bird sees something they like, they go at it. So really, you want to get information before you get your bird and see what they like. Or even when you get your bird and you don't know that stuff, try new things and see what your birds like. Even if it starts from cheap stuff to go to big stuff, seeing how they like it, that's also a really good way.
All right. And with the visual stuff, we talk a lot about birds see a different spectrum of color but I always try to think about how visually beautiful and stunning they are. I mean, when you look at our birds, they're all different colors and they're just so beautiful that there's got to be a piece of that visual appeal. Not just with other parrots, but they're so engaged in that visual world out in the wild, that we want to try to make things, show them different things and have different things for them to look at. Do you move your cages around at all?
Yes, I do. Since I try to see which, like Charlie, he's moved in three different spots, and I can tell the spot he is right now. He likes it better, so he can see my other conure Twinkie, since he really likes her. He is aggressive with her too, but he just tries to set boundaries.
Okay. So I suggest to people that they move the cages if they can. I mean, I know in some people's settings they can't do that. Shelly is out there. Shelly's got, I don't even know how many cages, never going to be able to move them all around. But if
Yeah.
birds can go, to different places and have different things to see, when we think about them being out in the wild, they're seeing all different things on a daily basis. They're going flying from here to there and seeing this, seeing that. So if we kind of keep that in mind when we're offering visual enrichment, I think that's really important. Do your birds watch TV?
Yes, my birds actually watch cartoons every morning. I try to switch up the cartoons for them, and they chirp and start screaming to it. They love
Oh, yeah. You know, a lot of people say that, Aliana, and I think my opinion is that it's the pitch of the voices on cartoons
it.
and all the visual, it's very visually appealing. Um, but yeah, I think that's definitely another kind of visual opportunity that we can offer them, and it doesn't cost any extra money. It doesn't, take it. I bet you do other stuff while they're watching cartoons.
Yep.
Yep. See, it can give them things to do. Shelly says she moves her birds to different cages in the winter, and then in the summer they're outside, and they have outdoor aviaries so they can see things outside, which is super great
Yeah.
enrichment. Yeah, Shelly's someone that Aliana would be. She's got a lot of really good information, and she's a great mentor to a lot of people. So, all right, Nick, do we have? I think we have a couple more. We have maybe two more things on the wheel of enrichment. Let's see if we can come up with something different. That was a pretty forceful spin there, Nick. Look at that. Tactile. So tactile is things you can touch, things you can manipulate, things you can destroy, or that your birds can. I use the wheel of enrichment for myself as well. Aliana, what kind of tactile opportunities do you offer the birds?
Well, I offer them a big variety of natural perches for them and make sure that they have bumpy surfaces and not just straight surfaces like dowel perches, since that can cause bumblefoot and sores on your bird's feet. So I really recommend just instead of just so I know some of the natural wood perches only have one small bump. So I recommend only putting one of those in your bird's cages and try putting more of the more bumpier perches in your bird's cage.
Very cool. And I think, it's an amazing point you bring up that having a variety of different kinds of perching is so very important. And it's, a lot of times cages will come if, people are just getting into having birds, they'll buy a cage and it comes with just those straight wood dowels. Um, I take those away. Those make better like cut up toys than they do perches.
Oh yeah.
So where do you get your perching?
Well, I get them from my local bird store where I buy probably most of my birds from. So they have a large selection of perches. I bought a wacky wood one recently, so that one's really good. And I don't recommend sand perch ones since that could give your bird sores and scrape up their feet. But ones that do have a good grip without sand could be a better option instead of just sand perches. But usually I just get them in all different types of varieties and not just the same type of brand perch or the same type of wood.
Very cool. Yeah, Shelly says grapevines are awesome. They're free and they come in all
Oh
different
yeah,
sizes. I love
they really
grapevine. I
are.
think it's and they can peel at it. I really like that for perching. Thank you, Shelly. That's a really good thing for
Yeah.
people to remember. And there's so much that is free. And if you're going to cut perching, just a reminder to people if they're going to cut their own perching, try to I don't suggest cutting on the edge of a roadway, because all the fumes and stuff from the automobiles go on the trees and stuff that are right by the road. Go a little bit further in. Just be careful. I don't want anybody, getting lost in the woods trying to find perches. But there's a lot of different things that can be used for perching that are readily available. So another good opportunity. All right, Nick, I think we've got one more. We can spin. Do we only have one more? We only have one more. So
Let's
can you
let's
make it
let's.
land on exercise?
I can't make it land, but let's try our luck here. Come on, exercise.
Go exercise.
Uh, well, the world's trying to see me
No.
do exercise.
I was gonna say we could watch people exercise. That's my favorite kind of exercise is watching others exercise. So Aliana, we're gonna skip to exercise. You mentioned exercise before a little bit. Why is it important?
So usually when people get rescue birds, and not just rescue birds, breeder birds too, since lots of breeders do come with bad diets, but make sure you get a responsible breeder when you're getting a bird. But usually when your bird comes on a bad diet or is a little bit overweight, exercise is a big part. And even training can be a part of exercise. You could make your bird recall or do target training or even have them train to even put rings on a little stick. Like things like that could be a great part of exercise.
Nice. Have you worked on training with your birds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what are they trained to do?
So all my birds know recall, so if just in case they get out the door, they know how to come back. And Charlie is in the process of learning how to get a harness since he is a bird that physically doesn't like his wings being touched, but he is getting there, and he's right now just learning how the harness won't hurt him in any type of way. And Twinkie, she's my newest member of the flock. I got her about a month ago, so she is still settling in, and she is still untamed, so I'm working on that with her. And then Pickles is like the best bird ever. Like he does anything he wants. So like you could flip him on his back, he'll just eat millet in your hand, and you can throw him up in the air and he'll just fly. He's just such an amazing bird. He knows everything.
Nice. So how about target training? Are they all target trained?
Yes, all my birds are target trained. The budgies, not so much. They're getting there, but Charlie's the best at target training. Twinkie is getting there still, but also with my budgies.
Nice. So what do you use as a reinforcer when you're doing target training?
So I use a clicker. You can get one from the bird trick store, or you can just get one off of Amazon simply. And you can even just use a chopstick. Just don't get the pointy part. You can cut that off, and just have them do it you can do it in their cage too, but outside I recommend a little bit better so they're not enclosed. So I take Charlie out, I put him on his stand, and I do different parts of the stand, and I put the stick there, and then he comes over and touches it, and then I click the target stick and give him a treat.
And what do you give him as a treat when he's doing that? So when he does a behavior that you like, how do you reinforce that?
Well, if my bird's not so good with it but knows how to do it, I give them a little larger of a reward. So if my bird is so pro at it, I give him like a little bit more of a healthier treat that he likes.
There you go. So it's about how hard will you work for, the special yummy treat versus you already know how to do this, so we're going to maintain that with something that's a little bit healthier.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy to have. So, new bird owners, what do you want them to think about? What are your tips for new bird owners?
Well, for a new bird owner, I recommend like when you're getting your bird, I don't recommend doing it when like you're in school or something like that, or don't have time to actually physically train with your bird or get it used to its environment. So I recommend doing it in a period of time where you have like a couple of days off when you're getting your bird so you can spend as much time with it. So after it can get used to you not being home and it already know everything.
Nice. That's great. And because I think a lot of people don't consider that, that's something that, it's like, oh, I'm going to get this bird and then I got to go to work the next day, but I'll be home and I can deal with them when I get home. If you can set aside some time, I think that's really good advice. And what about the experienced bird owner? So, you've got some good experience under your belt. So what are you going to tell people who already have their birds? What advice do you have for them?
Well, an experienced bird owner like tries to go to as much bird things possibly like bird shows and stuff and just spends tons of money on their bird and has lots of time. Their birds already know tons, and even if going into free flight, it's a big part as well. And just knowing lots and lots and just having many different types of resources.
I noticed before, I don't know if you know anybody who free flies their birds. There's a gentleman who was on earlier, Chris Armstrong. I don't know if he's still on. Chris is a free flyer. He's down in Florida. Are you familiar with Chris's work?
Yeah.
Have you ever met Chris?
No, but I've definitely heard of him.
Well, maybe we can make something like that happen because Chris is really
Yeah.
an amazing trainer and free flyer, and I think if we can get you to meet him, that would be kind of cool. Would you like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll work on that. We'll see if we can make that happen. Um, so one, you volunteer at Ziggy's, am I right?
Yep.
So what can people get out of volunteering at a facility like Ziggy's?
Well, when you volunteer, you could get more learning experience for what you have at your birds at home. Like when you volunteer, you clean cages, you work with birds. You can also help people that are looking for birds and stuff like that when volunteering. And you could definitely get a big experience out of that that can also help you with your own bird care.
That's a great idea. So, you travel how far to get to Ziggy's?
I travel an hour and a half to get to cities.
Once a week.
Yeah, I try.
Again, more dedication. Aliana, I think that's wonderful. Um, and you told me you were going to be volunteering with dogs this summer, right, at the Humane Society?
Yep.
Excellent. And so where is all this taking you? Where is this journey that you've shared with us? Where is this taking you?
Well, I hope to be in the future to be an avian vet and just help birds all around the nation and have many different types of my vet all around the United States.
Nice. And I think you'll get there. I really do. And all of you guys who are listening, when you're looking for a good avian vet, we got to wait a couple years. But when you're looking for a good avian vet, look up Aliana Torres, and that's where we want to go to. Aliana Torres, DVM. That's what we're looking for. I can't tell you what a pleasure it has been talking to you tonight. And I'm sure that when you're that big avian veterinarian who's doing remarkable things, we're all going to say that we had you on this live stream and they got to hear you when you were only this tall. So
Yeah.
I really, again, thank you so much. What I would like to do, Aliana, is on the Leather Elves online store, if you want to go on there and pick a toy for one of your guys, that's my gift to you for helping me tonight on the live stream. We will also put you in touch with Shelly. And Shelly is a wonderful connection. She may be able to get you a discount on that aviary. So I will send you an email with Shelly's contact information. And if you are interested in meeting Chris Armstrong, I will see if we can make that happen. So thank
Awesome.
you again, guys. Lori says, thank you so much for talking tonight, Aliana. Actually, you know what, Aliana, there's a comment here from Mark Sullivan, who happens to be my husband and is in the other room. And he says he will send you a code for $50 worth of toys. So I guess he was
Oh
pretty
wow.
impressed by your information tonight too. So yeah, that just came from across the hall. But so thank you. And if you need anything, contact me. I can reach out to the guys who listened tonight. I'm sure there are people who are very, very impressed with what you're doing. Keep up the good work. And thank you. Is there anything that you want to conclude with, want to end with tonight?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you everyone. You guys are awesome and it's a pleasure to meet all of you guys.
All right. So actually, Megan final comment from Megan right there. We all need to move to Florida, and you'll treat our birds when you become a veterinarian. There you go. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Next week, we will be live from Kiko's Toy Chest. We're going to talk about what to look for in a bird store. There's a lot of good things happening. We'll talk to Jody Olmos, who owns Kiko's, and we will maybe talk with some of her staff and volunteers. And then on Sunday, next week, Saturday, I'll be at Kiko's. Sunday, I'll be at the Parrot Perch. And don't forget, if you feel it in your heart, please contribute to use that QR code and go make a donation to Ziggy's Haven so we can make this work for the guys at the Key Training Center. So everybody have a great week. I don't know about you guys, but I really, really enjoyed tonight talking to Aliana. So you guys take care, and we will see you all later. Bye-bye.